I'm sure you've heard the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It seems that the results of a study done by the Education Resources Institute and the Institute for Higher Education may dispel that theory. According to their study, the enrollment of students aged 40 years and older in all sectors of education has grown by 235% since 1970. As a 40-plus-year-old college student myself, I feel qualified to speak to this topic. In this speech, I will discuss the growing number of adults aged 40 years and older who are returning to college. First, I will discuss some of the reasons that adults are returning to school. Next, I will tell you about a few of the challenges involved in being a return student. And lastly, I'll introduce you to some of the programs that have been designed by universities to attract older students back to college life. Now that I've given you some insight into what I'll be covering today, sit back, relax, and even take some notes, because I can tell you from personal experience that your 40th birthday will be here before you know it. Ask 10 different non-traditional college students why they return to school, and you'll probably get 10 different reasons. Some people return to school after retirement simply to learn a new subject that's always interested them. Some are looking for higher paying positions and realize that furthering their education is the best way to get there. Because of the unpredictability of the economy, many are continuing their education in order to protect themselves against unemployment. There are also those students who return to school for personal fulfillment. In the AARP survey on lifelong learning, of more than 1,000 people aged 50 and older, 90% of the respondents identified the desire to keep up with what's going on in the world, their own spiritual or personal growth, and the satisfaction of learning something new as their reasons for pursuing additional education. In the same survey, more than half of the total respondents indicated a desire to improve job skills, and 30% stated that they wished to earn a degree or certification to advance their career. Whether motivated by more money, personal fulfillment, or the desire to socialize with peers, the number of older students on college campuses is continuing to rise. We've just discovered some of the reasons why people are returning to school at an older age. Now I'd like to talk to you about the possible challenges that they might meet along the way. Deciding to do something is easy. Following through with that decision may not be so easy, especially if there are challenges and obstacles that could prevent you from being successful. One barrier for the adult student is age itself. Because of the obligations that come along with being older, such as family, work, financial responsibilities, there's not always enough time to incorporate education into a person's life. Attitudes can also be challenging. Ageism exists not only in the workplace, but also on college campuses. There are some teachers, as well as younger students, who feel that older adult students should already know subject matter and shouldn't need to ask questions. In addition to the attitudes of others, there's also the attitude of the adult students themselves. Often they have to first overcome their own negative feelings about becoming college students, as well as dealing with the anxiety they feel about the technology that's required in some of their classes. Lastly, funding is consistently cited as one of the top reasons older adults don't pursue higher education. In a survey of more than 1,300 students aged 40 and older at Portland Community College, nearly 8 in 10 respondents cited time constraints as the leading obstacle for achieving goals. In the same study, adult students stated that they felt uncomfortable sitting in traditional college courses alongside younger, more tech-savvy classmates. Addressing the financial aspect, at PCC, 6 in 10 survey respondents cited financial concerns as an impediment to achieving their educational goals. We now see how family, work, financial responsibilities, and attitudes could possibly stand between the adult student and their desire to further their education. I've pointed out some potential obstacles. Now let's talk about some of the programs being offered by universities to make this transition easier. Many universities see older students as an asset and are trying to lure them back to the classroom. In order to get older students back to campus, it's important that educational institutions recognize the obstacles that are preventing them from returning. For that reason, many universities are doing what they can to make it easier for the adult student to pursue their education. Some colleges are offering on-campus childcare, quiet dorms, evening office hours, multiple enrollment options, weekend classes, and commuter lounges. Some schools even have programs specifically designed solely for older students. In addition, online distance learning is another way to make it more convenient for the adult students to attend classes. Most major public and private four-year universities, as well as other learning institutions such as University of Phoenix and DeVry, offer online courses. For those students in financial need, the federal Pell Grant is now available to students of all ages who qualify, and there are always the traditional student loans. Considering the special programs and financial relief now being offered to the adult student, it's easy to understand why the number of returning students is on the rise. Now that we've discussed the remedies being offered by colleges and universities, let's review what we've discussed today. Today I spoke to you about the growing number of adults in the United States, age 40 years and older, who are returning to college. First, we discussed the reasons that we're seeing an increase in the number of older age students. Then we looked at the challenges that these individuals face while seeking this higher education. Lastly, we highlighted some of the special programs that have been developed by colleges and universities in order to attract the older student back to college. As recently as 10 years ago, reports on retirees usually focused on declining health and decreased capabilities, and the last thing we anticipated was starting a new career at the age of 40. Now we're hearing more and more about older adults who are choosing new career paths, starting their own businesses, and finding new ways to remain productive and contributing members of society in their later years. Just this past May, there was a story in the news about a 53-year-old mom and her 23-year-old daughter who were graduating from the same college together. I'm not sure that any one of my 5 children would appreciate this scenario, but based on the statistics, it's something that will probably be happening more frequently in the coming years. So as you make your way through your college career, remember to mind your manners, watch your language, and be respectful, because someone's mom or dad could be sitting right behind you.